Good evening, everyone. I'd like to go ahead and call this city council meeting to order. We'd like to welcome everyone this evening. We have several presentations that we'll do here in just a few moments. Mayor Sammy Phillips sends his regrets. He could not be with us tonight. He's a little bit under the weather. We wish him a safe and quick recovery. Tonight, we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. We'll ask Councilmember Brian Jackson to lead us in that, and our Attorney John Carter in our invocation. So if you please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we pause to give you thanks. To give you thanks for this most beautiful day, and to give you thanks for the blessings you so graciously bestow upon us as citizens of the city of Jacksonville and upon us individually. Our hearts are broken and we mourn with the victims and the families of the shooting and the massacre at the school in Florida. We pray that we can all work together as one nation to ensure that our students and the educators are safe in that educational environment. Be with them, dear Lord. We pray for our military members serving us here and around the world, for their anxious families. And as always, we ask your guidance and direction to be with our council. All this we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Okay, thank you. Council members, before you, you have an agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda if there are no changes.
Move for adoption of the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Move forward for some presentations. Our first presentations are going to be some life-saving awards. I'd like to ask Public Safety Director Chief Mike Yanero to please come forward. Also, I'd like to ask Police Officer David Livingston and Dustin Gillum to please come forward. Telecommunications Supervisor Jeffrey McAllister. Telecommunicators Brittany Powell and Allison Reeves, please come forward. Good to see you guys. On October 18, 2017, the city's 911 communication center received a text that indicated that the sender was suicidal. Telecommunicator Allison Reeves received the text to 911 message. Communications manager Jeffrey McAllister traced the phone to an address in the city. Telecommunicator Brittany Powell immediately relayed the information and dispatched officers to the residential address. Officers David Livingston and Dustin Gillum made contact with the subject's spouse at the front door of the residence. They inquired about the spouse. He stated that he went to the garage. The officers followed the woman to the garage and found her husband suspended from the garage door track from his neck. He did not appear to be breathing and was unresponsive. Officer Gillum pulled the cord from the man's throat, holding it taut while Officer Livingston cut the cord away. The man immediately gasped for air and was laid on his side. He was unresponsive and continued to have labored breathing. Officers called for EMS and continued to monitor the victim. As his breathing continued to improve, he regained consciousness and was speaking with officers upon the arrival of EMS personnel. The quick and decisive action of the dispatchers and officers resulted in reviving the victim. Their actions resulted in preventing a tragedy and are very worthy of the life-saving award. Can we give you guys a round of applause? That's a terrific job. And on behalf of Mayor Phillips and your city council and the citizens of Jacksonville, we'd like to present you with awards. Justin? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hope you're doing well.
Yes, sir.
Once again, thank you for your service and to the citizens of the city that you serve. We don't take the opportunity to thank you for granted. And we hope that the citizens are viewing us tonight because I know they're delighted to have each and every one of you at their side when they need you. So thank you very much. And it's an extreme honor to be up here giving these presentations to these fine individuals. We have another presentation of a life-saving award. Jacksonville Police Officer Dale, is it Rossiter? Please come forward. How are you? Thank you for joining us. On December 12, 2017, Jacksonville Police Officer Dale Rossiter was dispatched to the Sunset Inn in reference to a man having trouble breathing. Upon arrival, Officer Rossiter quickly recognized signs of a drug overdose and administered Narcan prior to the arrival of EMS. The patient quickly regained consciousness and his breathing was improved. The patient was transported to the hospital where he was later released. Officers Rossiter's swift response and action aided in the recovery of this man. His response averted a tragedy and is worthy of a life-saving award. Thank you for your service. That was a great job on your part. Claire, thank you for your service. Great job. Once again, the efforts of our officers continue to be noticed each and every time they do something great for our community. So we often hear the negatives, but tonight you've heard some real good positives. And this goes on all the time. These are not isolated incidences. They go way beyond life-saving awards. So please recognize their work and their efforts that they do within your community. And I'll ask Chief Pinheiro to come forward and say a few words, please.
You know, I'm always proud to lead such a team that is so dedicated to making our community better and the dedication they have to saving lives. You know, when we start to look at how many lives they've saved, whether it's using an AED, whether it's using Narcan, every single day our team, the Department of Public Safety, is out there saving people's lives. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, next order of business, we're going to do our oath of office for our Jacksonville Youth Council, and this is always an exciting time. So if I can ask Pamela Thrafton to please come forward. She's our community programs coordinator. Please come forward. She's going to assist me. If you will call upon all your members to come forward, please.
Okay. First, we have Adejuwan Ojabobo, who is our chairman from Jacksonville High School. Okay. Seth Rutlinger, our vice chairman from White Oak High School.
And please bring your family member forward as well to hold your Bible.
Jordan Jackson, Secretary, Northside High School. Evangeline Padilla, White Oak High School, Executive Seat. Victoria Gonzalez, Jacksonville High School, Executive Seat. Jania Adolphus, Lejeune High School, Executive Seat. Tamara Waters, at-large seat, Onslow Early College High School.
You can come forward. You can fill in right here.
And Megan Hutchins, at-large executive seat for Living Water Christian Academy.
You can have them move in a little bit. So tonight, we're going to administer the oaths of office for the new officers of the Jacksonville Youth Council. The Youth Council serves to give youth in Jacksonville a voice. They govern themselves, they perform public service, and are available to provide connection from the Jacksonville City Council to the youth community. We, as elected officials of the City of Jacksonville, always welcome your input and suggestions, and tonight is a great night to have you all here with us. We're going to issue you the oath of office to make you legitimate, and we're going to do it as a group. So if we can ask those to come forward a little bit, and we're going to ask, we're going to do it all together, and when I ask to state your name, you as individuals go ahead and just state your own personal name, and when I ask you to state your office, you could just repeat your office of which you are assigned to. And that way we can do it all together. Okay? Are we ready? And if we can ask whoever is with you to hold the Bible for you. Okay? You ready? Are you sure you're ready? Hold your left hand on the Bible and repeat after me. You ready? Right hand up, please. Left hand on the Bible. Okay? I state your name.
I, Adejuan Ojabobo,
That was great. Do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as, state your office,
as chairman
of the Jacksonville Youth Council,
of the Jacksonville Youth Council,
and maintain and uphold
and maintain and uphold
all the laws and regulations
all the laws and regulations
of the City of Jacksonville,
of the city of Jacksonville.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, you're official. These are our future leaders, so we're very excited to have you up here.
Now, it's kind of like military, we're going to form two lines, not one big one. So you got to have, let's have the youth council members standing in front and the adults standing behind. And if you're a short adult, make sure that you can be seated. Do we need to make three lines? There we go. Y'all feel free to come right on up and take plenty of pictures. You folks standing in the back, feel free to come up, get better shots. Come on up. Last call for pictures. Everybody good? Thank you very much.
All right. These are our future replacements, and I'm looking forward to that. Before we move on with our agenda, if you were here for presentations, I'm going to hold this up for just a few moments so that if you're here for just the presentations, you can leave. Please feel free to stay and join our meeting or the rest of the meeting that we have. But if not, we'll go ahead and pause this meeting for a moment, and you could exit at either direction, and I don't blame you either way. So have a nice evening, and thank you for joining us.
Believe it.
So I'm prepared.
You should have 2 coffees.
Oh, gosh. We're in trouble. Okay, well, I guess you can tell how interesting our meetings are based on who stayed. All right, next order of business is the public comment, time for public comment. There's no one signed up to speak. Is there anyone that is here that wishes to speak? No one wishes to speak. We'll close the public comment section. And now, council, you have before you the adoption of the minutes and consent items.
Move for the adoption of the minutes of January 16th and the regular meeting of January 16th.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
And the agenda and the consent items
Consent
too.
item, okay. I have a
Second.
second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, motion carries. All right, next order of business is going to be item number 6, Onslow Community Outreach Request for Contract Amendment. Tracy, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. My name is Tracy Jackson for the record. Onslow Community Outreach has operated a homeless shelter and a soup kitchen at 600 Court Street. In January 2015, they identified a need to purchase 1210 Hargett Street, the former Piggly Wiggly building, for relocating the homeless shelter and the soup kitchen. City Council supported this effort by awarding Onslow Community Outreach 2 deferred forgivable loans totaling $280,000 and 1 grant of $25,000 for a total city investment of $305,000. The 2 loans require performance no later than June 30th, 2018, with the grant established a date of June 30th, 2017. Components of the loan performance requirement have been completed, including the parking lot and landscaping, installation of a sprinkler system, and demolition of interior space. However, the other major components such as the homeless shelter, the day shelter, and soup kitchen have not begun. In recent discussions with Consuelo Community Outreach, all parties agree that performance dates have not and cannot be met. As a result, they are requesting an amendment to their loan and grant agreements to extend the time of performance to June 30th, 2020. This amendment has specific milestones for a building permit to be issued no later than January 31st, 2019, a certificate of occupancy no later than April 30th, 2020, and operational opening of the facility by June 30th, 2020. Staff recommends and that council authorize staff to amend the 3 agreements. And for additional remarks, I present to you the board chairman of Onslow Community Outreach, Dr. Don Herring.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mayor Pro Tem Lazar, elected members of City Council, and City Manager Dr. Woodruff. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. We're going to provide you some update on where we are with our facilities. Our media group here will kind of run through some slides as I provide you some remarks here. And when we get down to the slide with Christmas cheer, that's where we'll kind of stop at that point there. So again, thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight and give you an update about our future of Onslow Community Outreach, our services building, which is located at the 1210 Hargett Street. For our audience members who may be viewing at home, all of us will probably recall this as being the old Piggly Wiggly grocery store in New River. The Outreach purchased this building in October 2015. It will be the future center of our soup kitchen, homeless shelter, Christmas cheer building. Operating these programs from the center will benefit all of our economically disadvantaged residents in the Jacksonville-Onslow community and should enhance the city's efforts to foster revitalization in the New River District. What has occurred since October 2015? Through the efforts of the outreach and the loan resources that have been provided through the community development block grant money from the city have allowed us to renovate, take out the unsafe freezers and coolers and do some interior demolition. As you saw earlier in your workshop, when you can clean out and straighten up some things there, facilities take on a whole new light and become a lot safer to work in and work around. We've also increased the safety, working with our fire prevention and installation of a sprinkler system. Started with that, including an extra hydrant outside, tapped into outside resources there, also provided for the interior revision and redesign of the sprinkler system, which has really helped the ability to utilize the building on the inside there. We've also upgraded the public work infrastructure and added new utility lines. Here you see the up area of the sprinklers. In addition, we've done outside work on the infrastructure related to the paving and grading of the front of the property there. Also, that has allowed us to get the water flow corrected away from the building there. We're most excited about the enhancement of the appearance of our property at New River area there through a community landscape project where we did over $10,000 worth of improvements there and involving our community and Young Marine program there, planting over 50 shrubs and 20 trees there. This project has allowed the community to come together, has allowed us to bring the community forth, has got people very excited, the change of the appearance of the building there. We're most excited when we had, after the dedication part there, we were able to get the front of the building painted. That part really helped change the shape of it. People some are beginning to forget that it used to be called the old Piggly Wiggly building there by the change of the front here, by the next picture here. This has really made a big change here. One of the things that we're most pleased about with the efforts of the building here is that it's been more than just bricks and mortar. It's allowed us to bring the community into this building and utilize this building from the efforts of our combined efforts working with the city here. Our wonderful community partner, Sandy Run Missionary Baptist Church, has operated their Harvest of Blessings program out of this building, which has assisted hundreds of struggling families in providing household goods and appliances. We've had some civic fundraisers. We've had groups like Rotary work with us there. Most especially, though, we're very excited about the work that we've been able to use this building for Christmas Cheer. Christmas Cheer has allowed over 3,000 children to have Christmas on Christmas Day through the efforts of this building. It has allowed us to bring the food and toys and efforts in here and to do the distribution and also has provided a stable home for the program here. This program has really brought in many community partners here, and we've had tens of thousands of dollars of toys, bicycles, and food that have provided in and been able to be distributed, not to the just to the Jacksonville residents, but also to the Onslow community residents also there. What we're really pleased here is that these activities have kind of helped support the City Council's goals of to utilize an inclusive approach to problem solving and community progress and create relationships and partnerships and development and implement strategies to further the downtown redevelopment and to appropriately respond to the needs of the quality of life in our community. Now, the city has invested community development funds to assist the transition of our homeless program to the new center. And the city manager and Ms. Jackson have reported tonight, our timetable has needed to be adjusted there. The effort brought together our group and our supporters there and brought together working with the Community Development Block Grant Group here. And our initial contracts were put together. From that, we've made great progress, but there's been a need to have some revision and some refinement, and we greatly appreciate this opportunity here. First of all, all of the work tonight and asking for the work here helps us to realign our contracts, helps us to get our focused mission here as far as what will be taken care of by what deadline and what timeline. That is an incentive to us. That helps us align our funding and our funding streams there so that we can make those deadlines there. It also creates a complete focus for completion of our phase one, which will include our homeless shelter. That is the real focus that, in working back in the day, working with our design group, also working here with planning and zoning there, and also the real request and interest of this council here is that we can provide emergency shelter, the shelter, day shelter components there, back with our planning there, putting together the completion of a 5,000 square foot component within inside the building here, which would have a side entrance to it that would be able to provide those shelter support services for our group and to make those deadlines by 2020 are very critical there. It also provides a win-win for this community development block grant funds that have been committed thus far here. We're in this, our community's in this, we're all combined here. The more people that are in this building and around this building excite them about not only its potential, but its reality of where we're heading to next here. Last week, we had our 28th annual meeting for our Onslow Community Outreach, and we talked about our, not just our ambitious program, but our realistic program to finalize the mortgage on this building and to accomplish phase one and the timelines and deadlines that have been set in the paperwork tonight there. Currently, we're providing over $50,000 annually in the paying toward the mortgage and also the facility maintenance on the maintenance and the utilities on this building here. And so we've put together our fund development efforts there and recognizing to retire the mortgage and to work toward the phase one funding to meet the deadlines of having our permits by 2019 and our CO and on all in 2020 as the deadlines have outlined here. We can continue relocating our services to New River over our next couple of years here. We're going to make sure these core needs are met, this has helped us and supported us here. It's also helped us to rebrand and expand our efforts here. During this transition period, our strategic priorities are to maintain our core services and add to this space here. So during this time here and making these deadlines and guidelines here, we don't in any way want to cannibalize the quality of services that we provide now, but we do recognize with our assets that we have and our redeveloped funding plan and all, that we are very comfortable and very confident that we will make the goals as set by the Community Development Block Grant Group and also set forth by council here. We believe the approval of this agenda item shall advance the city's economic and redevelopment goals and continue the positive activities that have been described tonight. We appreciate your consideration, and I'm available to answer any questions, provide any feedback that you might have.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Herring, and thank you for your continued vision and support for the needs of the community. We appreciate all that you do. So, council, are there any questions for Dr. Herring? Go ahead.
Dr. Herring, so I guess it's just natural to assume that funding has caused part of the delay of the accomplishment of the construction, or was it just details as far as getting what needed to be done?
Well, a little combination of both and also utilization of funding. One of the things that we've been very fortunate, very blessed with is this year is the acquisition of the Morgan Building.
Right.
Right, and which should have made it mentioned earlier than later there, an opportunity came to us to not only acquire the Morgan Dentistry Building, but to open that building. And some time and attention and funding have gone, not your funding, but funding have gone toward that. And if you've had a chance to tour that at our open house there, and that's already begun providing services also. Also, like any other project that you get into scale there, recognizing the need and creating the phasing. I'm very pleased that we're finishing up our full drawn-to-scale plans through Dun & Dalton, which will help us further, it will help us when we do our bidding process to be more specific in what we're bidding for, especially in that first phase with the homeless shelter. So a combination of several items, but also the fact that with us meeting and regrouping here is put in front of us two very achievable goals of our permitting and into getting our certificate of occupancy within the deadline set.
So as far as your downtown property, do you have a plan for disposal of that property at some time in the future? And do you have any idea when that might occur, when you'll be not needing that property?
Well, I wish I had that crystal ball fully
Okay.
energized tonight there. We do recognize that in this transition, getting the first phase in place, getting the shelter in place there, we know that's going to serve as a catalyst. A lot of the infrastructure that we'll achieve by getting that phase there, especially in the plumbing and wiring and those types of things there, is going to allow us to accelerate this other two phases there. But I would not be able to set a timeline tonight as when we would be able to fully relinquish that property. We do recognize, though, that that property is paid for as such the Morgan Building. So retiring our debt as our fund development efforts are underway now gives us that leverage point we need for our building loans and to continue to go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Dr. Woodruff?
I think it would be beneficial to the council for you to talk about your fund development effort.
Okay.
I believe that you've established a goal of 500 people contributing $5 million apiece.
Yeah, well, yes, sir. Your number's not mine there. Recognizing that Onslow County is blessed with a lot of people who have done great things and all, the growth and development and the funding of our almost $1 million annual budget operating is on the willingness and support of the everyday person that comes and works in Onslow County and in the Jacksonville area. We've stepped out with this $500,000 goal, 500 people raising $1,000. Sounds simplistic in many ways there, but in many ways very achievable. And we've also have a structured fund development plan behind this, our front one there of the $1,000 per 500 people. But people excite other people. We talk about the power of three people and three community people exciting three other people and spreading it for there. It's helped us make and grow not just Onslow Community Outreach, but other nonprofits in this community. And people also recognize when there's a focus, when there's an end result, when there's a goal there that is achievable, that becomes a more tangible item there. We've also received a lot of excitement from our group who handles our facility constructions and renovations. There are people that, once they get the green light, they would like to provide some of that sweat equity and in-kind support that is very critical also. So while there's a funding component, you know, almost of $250,000 to get into the homeless shelter there, there's also recognizing that people won't step in and work through the guidelines of our facilities, the regulations and all that, but they won't step in and be supportive also.
Let me also make a couple of comments. The original loan was specifically approved by the mayor and council for the purpose of establishing a homeless shelter, a day center, and the actual documents included the word soup kitchen. I want to make sure that everybody understands that the performance that are in these documents require compliance or completion within 2 years of the homeless shelter and the day center. These documents do not set a time period for the soup kitchen. We commend certainly Onslow Community Outreach for their current fund drive. I would be remiss, though, without reminding all of us, these are federal dollars. There are limitations that the city council has. 2 years from now, if Onslow Community Outreach has not been successful, it will be very difficult for the city council to give any further extensions. While your heart would say, let's give them all the extensions we want, Community Development Block Grant money is specifically set aside to meet national goals. One of those goals is homelessness. The original period for 2 years has now been explained to you. It's come and most of it's gone. We are proposing 2 additional years. But if at the end of 2 years, June 30th, 2020, that goal has not been met, Onslow Community Outreach will be declared, in my opinion, in default, and the city of Jacksonville will be in default of the intended use of the CDBG money. The reason why I want to stress that is the listening public needs to understand the critical position that Onslow Community Outreach is in. I encourage anyone who is considering making a donation, make that donation and become one of the 500 people who are pledging $1,000. I'm sure they'll let you make it over 1 year or 2 years. I'm not sure they'll let you make it more than 2 years since the performance has to be 2 years. But the public, I'm encouraging strongly the public to stand up and support this effort. Otherwise, we as a city and they as Onslow Community Outreach are going to find ourselves in a very awkward position 2 years down the road. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Any other questions? Council, you have before you the amendments to the 3 agreements authorizing the following, which is the extended time of performance to June 30th, 2020, provide clarification of the construction work to be performed and establish key milestones, and also reset the deferred forgivable loan period to begin July 1st, 2020.
I'll make the motion to approve the amendments to the 3 agreements and the 2 notes and deeds of trust, and authorize the city manager to sign the necessary documents.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Heron, for a presentation, and good luck. Okay, we have another time slot for public comment. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak? I'm sorry, did I miss something? Oh, good gracious, that was quick. I need to refine my glasses. Item number 7, we have appointment of council member to Joint Downtown Study Committee. Dr. Woodruff, would you give us a quick update, please?
Approximately 4 years ago, we established a joint task force to work on redevelopment of downtown. 2 county commissioners, 2 city council members. Elections have resulted in many of the members originally appointed no longer being available to serve. When the new county commission came into being, they appointed 2 members. We should have brought to you at that time the fact that your current 2 members, one of which was not reelected. So we now have a vacancy. If you'll recall at the joint session several weeks ago, we talked about re-energizing this downtown task force. we would ask this evening for you to consider appointing one member of City Council and also to concur that Mr. Lazara, who's been on the committee, will continue. Otherwise, you'll need to appoint two members.
Thank you, Dr. Woodruff. Council?
I'll make the motion to reappoint Mayor Pro Tem Lazara and Councilmember Bob Warden to the committee, Downtown Committee.
Thank you.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Now it's time for public comment. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak? No one? Okay. Time for reports. I'll start with Councilmember Jackson.
Yes, sir. February 3rd was proclaimed James Eldridge Richardson's Day on the date of his funeral. He was the first black drum major in the Marine Corps. Rich, as he was lovingly called, knew no strangers. He's the only man that I know could make a VA appointment worthwhile. He was a very loving person. He was a historic pioneer, a local business owner, a deacon at his church, and most importantly, he was just a wonderful human being. And we all could learn something from Rich, and he will be truly missed. Also during the month of February, the Jacksonville Arts Council is having a African-American art exhibit. I hope that all can come out and support it. You see a lot of talent from our local artists and some from other parts of the state. Please come out and support that. I also attended the Veteran Stand Down, where you had a lot of people come out and volunteer their time and their services to help our local veterans. And it was just a great undertaking. I was glad I was able to witness that. And lastly, I was invited to be a part of the Onslow Community Outreach swearing in ceremony for their new board members. And it's even greatly appreciated, and I'm inspired by people who will take on becoming a board member in such a great undertaking that the Onslow Community Outreach is under right now. So, and I ask anybody that can volunteer for their on our nonprofits and on these community and city and county boards to step out and help our community, because it's needed. It's needed. That's all for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bittner?
With Mayor and Council, I had the pleasure of attending last week's meeting of the Onslow Civic Affairs Committee, which is a county committee that evolved from the City Civic Affairs Committee. I'm your representative to that committee, and the county is represented by Royce Bennett. The rest of the committee is made up of citizens who do a bang-up job in terms of running the particular operations and projects of the Civic Affairs Committee, headed up staff-wise by Assistant City Manager Glenn Hargett. The committee approved the 3-year review of the Civic Index, which is like a report card of the city and county's involvement in creating quality of life improvement programs such as Onslow Community Outreach and other programs geared for improving the quality of life for our citizens. The committee will present an in-depth report of their activities in the 3-year review of the Civic Index at a future council meeting to be worked out, I guess, with the city manager. One of the things the committee is going to put together a report on is the possibility of a future application for the All-America City program. Some of you may not have been aware, but in 1992, the city, that's 26 years ago? How's that for math? Is that pretty? I don't even have Gil to do that for me, and I did that.
Well, we need to verify it first.
That was 26 years ago. A marvelous time in the city. Again, it was a program based primarily on citizen involvement. And the noteworthiness of that particular honor is that it's not just in All-America City, it's only 10 cities of across the country. And it was quite an accomplishment, not particularly an accomplishment of the city, but of our citizens who work together in so many ways in terms of committees and other activities, and just like Brian mentioned in terms of our veteran groups. The committee have further evaluated their role in the Freedom Day observance and have agreed to continue that association. And as you may have read in the paper, the committee made their report on those citizens who have been selected for the Fabric of Our Community Awards, those being Jackie Barton, Oliver Hill posthumously, Colonel John Kupka, Dr. and Mrs. Ken Morgan, Woody Myers, and Otto Taylor. These individuals epitomize efforts to make this community better, whether by a one-time significant action or a lifetime of action. They will be formally recognized, or the awards will be given out at a luncheon Friday, 23rd of February at the Hilton Hotel, I believe. Is that it? The other thing is the Civic Affairs Committee was deeply involved in the Correct Count Committee. This is an ongoing effort from the city since the last census to have our military people who are deployed counted as Jacksonville or Onslow County as their place of residence. Very important from the standpoint to have these people counted for the number of representatives that North Carolina would warrant in Congress, but also very important in terms of distribution of state and federal monies based on our population. So kudos to that committee for their marvelous efforts in convincing and pulling together the resources from state and federal people to get the Secretary of Commerce to amend that policy to allow our military people who are deployed to be counted in Jacksonville or Onslow County if that's their place of residence. That's all of my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Thomas?
No report, thank you.
No report.
No report. Dr. Woodruff?
One city moment this evening reflects back to just this past Saturday. We had the second Mayor's Youth Leadership Summit here in the City Council chambers and across the street. We had over 60 youth and several adults who attended this, and they were educated as well as entertained. As you can see from the pictures that are here, the mayor gave an opening address, and the youth participated throughout the entire 5-hour session. The session included speakers including Dawn Rochelle. You also may remember the UNC All-American and White Oak High School graduate Dante Williams and the local fashion expert LaToya Scott. Here's a short video that will show more of what happened this past Saturday.
Good morning. I want to welcome all of you here to this Youth Leadership Summit. On behalf of the City of Jacksonville, the City Council, and staff of the city, I want to applaud your decision to be here today. You know, Saturday mornings, a lot of times, are very special to folks that are in school or working or what have you, and it takes a lot, you know, to make that decision to do something, you know, on a weekend. But I thank you very much for, you know, making that decision to do so. Because hopefully today you're going to carry away with you some things that may last you the rest of your lives. Some knowledge that, you know, will hit a spot with you.
Also, I think Pam is still, yes, Pam is still in the audience. Pam was the staff member along with Tracy who worked on this And we commend all the youth and the staff for putting this together, and we do appreciate the mayor and council's support. The other thing that we would like to take just a moment to mention is the continued efforts of our One City campaign. We hope that every day in Jacksonville, every citizen will take the opportunity to do something nice for somebody else. The world, you have your opinion as to whether it's going right or wrong. But guess what? We are in charge of this community. If every one of us every day will do something positive, maybe that will lead to changing the world. I will tell you, the city's One City campaign has actually gotten notoriety in other parts of North Carolina. The mayor and I have been invited to several cities to go talk with them about our One City campaign. So again, we challenge every citizen in Jacksonville every day, find something nice that you can do for someone else. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you,
And as
Dr.
always, we appreciate what y'all do in leading this city. Thank you.
John?
No report. Thank you.
Thank you, John. The only thing I have is again to congratulate our public safety personnel and our whole team for the work and efforts that they do each and every day to keep our community safe, keep our community clean and operational. We have a terrific team, and again, thank you. If no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.